I'll be MVP one way or the other.
Is this like
MVB?
Well,
hey,
whether
in the
you're
middle of the
only
night
one
the
that thinks
votes
so.
are all of a sudden going to spike up for Everett?
Brandon said that I can be the MVG.
I don't even want to ask what that's
Most valuable guide.
Yeah, exactly.
Are we live? We're live. All right. Episode 2 of Behind the Blind, as we're here in Tornado Alley, again brought to you by Tetra Herring. Check them out at tetraherring.com. Day 2 of our hunt turned into be another all-day hunt. Yeah! Congratulations to us.
Man, we don't do those very often.
No. Well, we like to make short work of our efforts.
Yeah.
And there was certainly a lot of effort today.
Yeah, there was. Between
Who would like to
everyone.
start about where the effort started?
What would Everett do?
Yeah.
This was your
Let's
idea,
start-
right?
I should make an
No.
introduction. I'm sorry. Logan Burdett, Alex Dicey, Everett Atkins. I'm Ronnie Phillips. What would Everett do on a day like today?
Go hunt a field.
Should we have done that? You think, in hindsight? I mean, we'll get into what happened today, but in hindsight,
I
should
know
we-
that the birds were back on the field that we were looking at hunting.
How many birds were on there, though?
Enough.
Answer the question. How many birds were on there?
Enough.
How many?
That's the most guide answer I've ever heard.
Yeah.
Give me a
Yeah.
number. I want a
Enough.
number.
Enough.
Give me a number.
Take away WWED. That
Yeah.
doesn't exist anymore. Gone and over with.
If you haven't ever seen the episode, Everett not only is a team member for Heartland Waterfowl, I don't know if you're trying to hold my hand there, but he's also a guide for Tornado Alley, and there was an episode that featured Everett, and you can find that on our Heartland Waterfowl website. Digital download, look for WWED from season 8. Is that right?
I think it was 8.
A couple of years ago? I think it was a couple of years ago.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah. Anyway, it was a pretty good episode. So you would have hunted the field today because
No, we did the right thing. Don't sit here and make something
I just want to
up.
get his answer.
I know, but he's not going to tell you the truth. He never does.
No, but because
He's a guide.
the answer to the because would have been because of what happened with what happened to us today.
No, not necessarily. I probably would have gone to the field because it would have been less disruptive to the birds. I don't know if that's the right answer. Where we poked a hole at in the water was different from where the birds had been using it. So when they come in and look at it, everything looks different to them and it throws them off.
Mm.
You go to the field, everything's natural. They're coming to an empty field.
All right, Logan, what's your opinion of that?
I didn't like the field options specifically last night because of the one comment you made is the 2 field options you had, you literally looked at Sean or Brandon and said they weren't there the day before. And I did not like that given the circumstances of the weather and everything.
It's been kind of weird because everything's on like a 2-day pattern.
Well, regardless
But-
of what that
but
is,
yes.
everything's been changing.
Yes, everything's
And
changing.
I don't
then
like
you,
that.
Then you throw the
Whether they're
element-
going to go to beans the night,
then you throw the elements into it and all that other stuff.
Yeah.
You're spot on.
don't like it. I
Don't
just
like
don't
it.
like it. But,
But-
what was our plan? Our plan initially was to hunt the water in the morning because basically we were unsure about both spots. A little bit of hesitancy with
Yes.
both spots. So why don't you just maximize your opportunity, hunt the water in the morning, then hunt in the field in the afternoon? Well, there was birds kind of constantly flying all day,
Yes.
so we just said, why don't we just stick it out where we're at? We put the effort into making this giant hole
Right.
open. The hole's finally as big as we want it to be.
Yeah.
So the plan.
The effort
changed
that
throughout
went
the
into
day.
it, the effort that went into it, you had to ride the hole out.
But you wanted to hunt this morning. You didn't want to just sit around this morning and wait till this afternoon to go hunt the field.
I wanted to do whatever is best for you guys.
He
I'm-
could be a
I'm just-
lawyer. Honestly,
Wow.
he could be a lawyer. Like he has the
Wow.
most.
Let's
If-
go with
if
politician.
If I had clients, I would have went and
You're
hunted
right.
the
Yeah,
field.
You're right.
I wouldn't have went out this morning.
Everett Atkins, state representative. I approve this message.
We should
But-
probably give a little
but-
bit more clarity on what actually. When you said
I
the
plead
plan
the
was
fifth.
to hunt the morning and then hunt the afternoon, the hunt the afternoon would have been if we needed
A backup.
to hunt is a backup plan if the morning didn't work out. First
Right.
of all, second of all, we weren't expecting, although we probably should have. We knew that there was the possibility that we were going to break ice. I
Yes.
just don't think that we were expecting as much ice and 2 inches of ice,
Yes.
and that would require 5 rippers.
And
Yes.
it got,
No, I mean, there
and
was-
it got deeper a lot
Yes.
faster than
That
we
was the
expected.
biggest
That was
problem.
really
Yes.
the biggest issue.
You're right.
Yes, that
If
was
we-
100% the biggest
If we could have
issue.
got out another 10 yards, it's a game changer.
Absolutely.
But we just couldn't do it.
And that's just it, is we weren't able to connect the hole is what changed that. Otherwise, yeah, we probably get into them pretty good.
Yeah.
So I don't think the water was wrong
No,
by no
'cause
means. But
here's my opinion is we got there extra early because we knew we were going to have a ton of work, right? And we knew that it was all hands on deck. We had the amount of ice rippers there to be able to open it. We got in there and we initially made a really good sized hole, and then it's right there at, I don't know how far out it was, 10 yards, and it just dropped straight off the deep, right? So you can't push any more of that ice. We
You
were
just got to let
breaking it as we
the
went.
rippers do the work.
Yeah, and so if we would have had the hole that we had by noon at
What?
9 a.m.,
Mhm.
we'd have been fine, right? We just fought a little bit of ice.
Everett just didn't want to put the work in. I would have hunted the field in the afternoon if I had clients. He just didn't want to put the work in for the clients.
Well, him by himself wouldn't have been able to do the
No,
work.
that-
I mean, it literally was all
that's-
hands on
I'm
deck. this
kidding.
morning.
that
I'm
is not
kidding.
the way this deal goes.
I'm
down.
kidding. You guys work your tail off.
We
You
all
guys
did.
really
Everybody did.
This morning, everybody did. Sean especially.
Yeah,
Goodness
Sean
gracious.
killed himself this morning.
I mean,
Maybe-
not really, but
Maybe. We don't know.
We'll see if he survives the
yeah,
night.
let's see if we see him in the morning.
It was just one of those scenarios where you have an idea of what you want to do going into it,
Yes.
and it was all working great, and then there's just a few variables of the depth of water and not being able to get out and that kind of stuff that
Throw a flat
It-
tire
but
into the mix.
yeah,
hold on. So what actually happened though? Like we shot some birds. We had a pretty decent hunt for. I mean, not for maybe.
Yeah, what was it,
sitting
right
all
on
day.
15 birds, I
Yeah,
think?
I mean, in the ones that did it great, right?
Right.
But it was like they just couldn't figure it out. Like they were coming in and then they just were like, I just couldn't make it. But we have all seen geese do way more difficult things.
In
They had
smaller
plenty of room to
spots.
work. They just were uncomfortable with tucking a butt and getting in,
I
you
mean,
know?
where they had been using in there was not the ideal wind conditions for them to get back
obviously,
into it. But they would have, if we weren't there, they would have found a way into it.
And those conditions being much like what we hunted yesterday, there's a lot of timber that surrounds that water, especially on the
I mean,
south end. And we had a south wind this morning,
well, the north bank was open with a south wind.
right? But because that's what they had been using.
Mhm.
But in order for us to hunt the side where we had the wind, we had to break open a hole. And so when
Right.
we got the hole open, the size of the hole that we had versus the size of the hole they originally had were
Right.
two completely different things.
But they weren't wanting to even try to utilize that.
Yeah, it was very strange. I mean, we were
The
talking about it
decoys
over and over
were
again. Like,
grabbing their attention.
Regardless, though, how many times are you in a scenario like that and you at least see one group or pair or something land in the middle? Nothing did that.
mhm.
Nothing
that's
did that.
that's where that change comes into play for me, because they're used to this hole right here, and then they see this in the birds and it's different for them, and it confused them, and they didn't know how they wanted to get into it.
That's because their brain is this big.
they
Yes.
definitely didn't know how they
Exactly.
wanted
And
to
this
get
is,
into it.
and then we're sitting
They're-
here talking about this, overanalyzing
Yes.
something that has a brain that's this big.
Smartest dumb bird there is.
Yeah. Wow.
But like you said, it wasn't an epic fail by any means.
No.
I mean,
No.
we shot 15 birds, but we had to spend nearly all day there to
And-
do it. And as the day progressed and we turned the rippers on, turned them off, we saw birds that were flying, we'd turn the generators off. And and in fact, actually, Alex had shot a bird that landed on the ice, and with the impact of the bird hitting the ice, it broke off a really
A
large
big
shelf.
section. You're welcome.
Ice
You're
shelf.
welcome.
Yeah.
And,
And that
yeah.
opened up the hell.
And
the
they
hole big
decoyed
time.
way better after that.
Right
Yeah.
around 11 o'clock, and then they decoyed better. But had we had that hole open, you wonder, and maybe not, I don't know, but you wonder if maybe they wouldn't have finished a little bit better.
For sure.
Yes.
Absolutely.
If we could have connected them, that would have been a game
Yeah,
changer.
absolutely.
So we weren't able to scout tonight because we hunted all day. We did get a lead from Sean and Brandon about where we should go look, and so we went and looked at a spot that we're going to hunt tomorrow. We'll get into what we're going to do tomorrow here in a little bit, but I'd like to remind you, make sure you subscribe to the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel. Make sure you comment on all of these videos, because we're giving you an opportunity to hunt with us on a filmed hunt. It's a trip for 2 hunts in Missouri with Valley Oaks. And that hunt's going to take place right around the first week of February. We're going to give it away on January 5th. And so get entered, you have to comment on all these YouTube videos, and then you have to go to huntingwithhw.com. It's a landing page. There you fill out your information so we know how to get a hold of you, and then be watching this YouTube channel for us to announce hopefully your name on January 5th when we're at Five Land and Holding in Texas with Joe Palumbo. So we went and looked at the spot after we hunted today and verified that there were many, many, many ducks using what they call as a river. To most people across the country would be considered a creek.
A crick.
A creek.
Is it a crick or is it a creek?
It's literally
It's a
like
creek.
maybe 20 yards wide and not very deep, but it's filthy stacked in
yeah.
there. And
Should
then
only get better tomorrow.
you would think with the
Big
conditions,
water's going to start locking up.
there's and that's why don't you hit on that, because there's a massive drastic change in the weather.
Yes, let's hit on the safety side tomorrow and Friday first. If you are hunting big water or out of a boat tomorrow,
Don't.
be careful or just don't
Just
go.
don't
a
do it.
goose or
Just
a duck
don't
is
do
not
it.
worth your life.
It's
Right.
not. The big
Don't
water
do
is
it.
not where to be.
And if you've been waterfowl hunting long enough, you've heard the horror stories. And
Pending when this weather comes in, right? They're saying midnight. It might not be until, even maybe closer to shooting light, but it's going to slowly drop and the wind's going to drastically pick up. Like if you're on big water in a boat or in general, like everything that hits you is going to turn to ice.
It's bad. It's gonna be
It's
bad.
going to be bad.
Yeah.
A goose or a duck is not worth your life. And to be honest with you, we have sat here. Part of the reason that we hunted all day today and hunted all day yesterday, actually, we don't typically double dip on the fields, and we probably would have had a more successful hunt in the morning if we didn't plan on doing the afternoon. But the whole reason we wanted to do that was because we knew this weather was coming in. We didn't know if we were going to be able to hunt or not,
Right.
and if it was going to snow
Later in the
and
week.
how cold
Yeah.
it was going to get with the wind chill. But tomorrow it works out great for us because we can literally park
Not
50
very
yards,
far from
not
where we're
even
gonna be.
from where we're going to be, and be just fine.
Mhm.
If you have to go get warm for whatever reason, you can hop in the pickup. We're in timber, so it's not like we have to spend a lot of time hiding, setting things up that we're out in the elements for a long time.
That
Like
creek is shallow.
yeah.
Like we're not hunting like deep water.
yeah,
I mean,
it's super, super shallow, knee deep water, a bend in the
best.
river. Yeah, a bend in the river. So we're being
Or
safe.
worst in
we're
this case.
we're being safe about it.
right.
I can't sit here and speak on it enough.
It's very important.
These next 2 days are brutal, brutal, brutal days across the country. Just be safe and don't do anything stupid.
Right. And for those who might be watching this a few weeks, a few months later, what we're alluding to is this winter storm that is about to hit the entire country, mostly the upper Northwest and through the Midwest. But we're going to have winds out of the north at 25 miles per hour, roughly. Temperature, I think, is supposed to be 2 below tomorrow morning at, before dark or before sunrise.
And snow.
In snow and the
Gusts up to
sleet.
50.
Yeah, like it's
Potentially.
just
They don't know exactly,
Yeah,
like
and it keeps
typical.
changing. We were supposed to have snow, at first light, and
Mhm.
now it's backed off a little bit, and so it could change tomorrow morning.
Right.
But one thing that's not going to change is brutally
Yeah.
cold.
Like
Deathly cold.
Dangerously
cold. Yes.
Dangerously cold for sure.
So, we've hunted this. You guys haven't hunted it. Were you there for that one?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
We hunted 3 years ago.
Yep.
It would have been a jam up spot had we not had fog that morning. But and the birds were a little bit stale and it was a little bit warmer that time. But
Yeah, fog and
being that
Yep.
all the bodies of water are going to start locking up and there's going to be flowing water in this river, the birds are going to want to be in there. They've already proven that they're in there and they're using it, and so it should be incredible. However, this isn't something that we are really accustomed to hunting, or this style. I mean,
Yeah.
we're usually hunting farm ponds or hunting fields. And so to hunt like this is going to be a little bit different. Our setup is going to be different.
Yep.
From a filming standpoint, obviously we want to bring you the best, most compelling footage that we possibly can. Typically when you're hunting the farm ponds or the fields, you can see the birds in the distance, giving the camera guys plenty of time to get on them, get it framed up, get it in focus. In this particular situation, the ducks get down there below the trees inside the river banks and they fly the river. And they fly down stream of the river. And so we're luckily going to be on a bend where we can, and I don't know what that straightaway is. If I had to guess, at best 50 yards, so we still got to get
Still
on them
short.
pretty quick.
Yeah, it's short.
But that's going to be a little bit of the concern. Plus, then you got the tree with the backdrop. and where usually you have the skyline, you know, to see the birds. So it's going to be harder to see the birds coming in through the camera. So, but it's also going to be some up in your face, up close and personal duck hunting that is something that we don't typically get to experience.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited about it. I mean, you're talking, yeah, it's cold, but spit and snow, hunting mallards like that are, like you said, it's going to be, hopefully, if all plays out like it should, a real intimate duck hunt, really. I mean, you're going to be having these ducks coming in, and we should be shooting them at, 15 yards and in the snow and in the cold. Like, this could be one of those hunts that we bring up different hunts from past seasons and things that we always remember. Like, this could be one of those where we say, holy cow, do you remember that time that we hunted in negative 25-degree wind in the snow? We just beat their brakes off of them.
Yeah.
Or we could be out there all day again.
If we do that, I will be taking a trip to the truck to warm up. I was actually thinking about this as I was coming back from the store to get some hot hands and another hose for a propane tank so we can have space heaters in the blinds.
Are key.
Yeah,
Mr.
for sure.
Buddies.
I felt great today.
Mr. Buddy, if you're looking for someone to represent you, give me a call. But we're going to have those. So anyway, I was coming back from the store, and I was trying to reminisce from the 10 years that we've been doing this. Like, what are some of the coldest conditions that we ever hunted in? And two came to mind. One is naturally when we talk about Canada, when we had that snowstorm and how cold and windy it was. I mean, that was not as brutal as what we're going to experience tomorrow, but that was like
it was that
wind
snow
cutting
blowing right into your
Yeah,
eyes.
that
too.
was
Like,
just
it was
a
blinding.
big snowflakes with the heavy wind. It wasn't that cold. It was only like
It felt really cold to me. Plus, we're
20,
doing it in
but
the
no,
first
yeah,
week of
for sure.
October,
Right.
you know, so
You're
we're
not
really
used
not
to it.
acclimated to that
Yeah.
kind of weather. But I guess where I'm going with it is the result was one of the most memorable waterfowl hunts to date that we've ever had
Right.
doing Heartland waterfowl. The second one that comes to mind was when we were down in Texas.
Oh, the pintail day.
Yes.
My hands still.
We
hurt
go
from
down
that
there
day.
to
that's
hunt
a different type of
cranes.
cold. That's a different.
It
That's
is.
a desert
That's
cold.
dry, cold. Yes, it's dry, and we were going down there to hunt cranes, and on the scout, I don't know if it was Joe or you, somebody came across a watershed that had just loaded with Magnum pintails,
Unbelievable.
and it was like, we can't not hunt this.
Yeah, limit was 2 at the time too.
Correct.
Yep.
And so we took this group of whatever it was, 8-10 guys out there, and again, stellar hunt. Cold. I mean, I remember you saying it was probably the coldest it had ever, because you started
I
off.
wanna
I think
say
you
it
guys
was
both
like-
did.
I think it
You
was like
both
zero.
filmed that right out the gate.
Yeah, I want to say it was
the
probably
wind,
0
the wind
degrees.
chill. The wind chill was 0 degrees, but it was like 15 that morning.
Oh, I
It
think it was
was-
colder than that. I think it was single digits.
That Texas hunt, it was just because it was a different type of cold, right?
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
just
Yeah.
felt different. Like,
Yeah.
it just pierced you to the bone.
Right.
And it wasn't that windy that morning. It was just downright cold.
I remember it because.
The-
Go ahead.
The only other time that sticks out in my mind is when we were in North Dakota
Mm.
4
the
years
the
ago. The
tarsal
year I
year.
shot the tarsal.
That was so
we
cold.
hunted that
Sub-Zero.
field.
The episode was called Sub-Zero.
It was negative
Yes.
negative 10 both those days we were hunting.
Yeah.
Mhm.
Not a lot of wind.
Right.
But it was the actual temperature was negative 10, and that was not fun.
Yeah.
So that morning when it was, I remember you just over the years that we go back and we reminisce about these stories. Excuse me. I remember both of you talking about how your hands were just hurting so bad.
mm-hmm.
Like you couldn't feel them, but you could feel the pain
Yeah.
in,
Oh,
your wrist
yeah.
and hands. I felt that first morning in North Dakota because we started off setting up for snows, and I was filming out of a layout blind that morning.
Oh, that was
And
miserable.
your hands are up, so you got blood not flowing to your fingers, and
All the
that
wind
was.
just blows
And we're
across
seeing
them.
all of these ducks that are finishing on the other end of the field. We're like, let's pack all this up and move over to that end of the field
Yeah.
and hunt the ducks in the afternoon, and we slayed them. My point is that to date, when I reminisce about the coldest days that we've ever hunted, they've always turned out.
really well.
They've turned out really well.
Well, I mean, remember February a couple of years ago here?
Yeah,
2
awesome.
years ago.
Awesome.
Yeah.
That's right. I
mean,
wasn't on that trip.
awesome.
That was cold.
Oh, it was super
That was
cold.
super cold.
Yeah, same. It was same 0 somewhere around there. I mean,
Yeah,
10.
wind chills were negative
It was,
and all that.
but there
They
was.
were bang up
I mean,
hunts.
there was 100 times more geese here than there are right now.
Well,
Oh,
'cause it's
yeah,
February,
yeah.
Yeah,
you know,
but I
like-
mean, that was nuts.
I'm just
That
talking
was
about
nuts.
from cold weather hunts.
Yeah.
That's right in there too.
I guess
me,
from. Go ahead.
They just get into survival mode, right?
Yep.
Is that the best way to
Yep,
describe it?
for sure.
Is they hit like this front, they are just, what do I got to do to survive? Oh, I have to find open water because my big water's locking up on me. It's too late to go south, right? Type deal. Or I got to get some food,
Yep.
So which one do you want to play? What option do you want to play here?
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to be Everett and
I
go to the
mean,
field in the afternoon?
From what
know?
from what Brandon saw, scouting and things,
But
I want to be on the bend of that river.
Well,
For
and
sure.
here's the deal. This isn't something that is just they haven't ever hunted before. Like
Right,
that
this is-
bend in the river is something they've hunted for 20 years.
Yeah.
And it's
Mhm.
just
But
Notab-
Sean grew up hunting in the river.
exactly. It's notably good when the conditions get like this. And if the worse the weather gets, the better it's going to be.
Mm-hmm.
And the faster the big water locks up, the better it's going to be.
Yeah.
Right.
It's just how that works.
That-
And so
that
we're
river-
playing our cards that's what's going to happen
Yep.
tomorrow.
That river spot is definitely a choose your day type deal. Like
For
when
sure.
we hunted a couple of years ago, that wasn't the day, and now you're looking at all the elements are putting it together to be that day.
If
So-
not, it's going to be Friday.
Yeah, I mean, we tried to hunt it the other day, and it was not the day
Yeah.
for the river.
I would have told you that. You could have just called me.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think anybody, literally anybody in the world, even anyone who's watching this, is ever gonna not want to shoot giant late December greenheads in the snow over
Mhm.
small water.
I grew up in Kansas, and I've never killed them in a little creek like this.
Yeah.
This type of little water.
Yep.
Skinny water. Yeah, skinny ponds. Yeah, absolutely. But skinny creeks like this, no.
Yeah,
never
it could
done
definitely be special.
So maybe for me personally, it's a way of psyching myself up because I remember that morning in Canada where I was like, I want to go hunting. Don't get me wrong. I'm
Right.
not like I don't want to go do this, but I am dreading how cold it's going to be. I remember getting out of the truck in West Texas and putting my gear on and being like, this is going to be really cold. Oh,
Mhm.
ouch, this is going to hurt. And then walking away like so gratified.
Yeah, like this was awesome. I'm so
Mhm.
glad we did this. That was well.
I
worth
wasn't
it.
on the trip in February, what you guys were talking about, but I remember hearing the stories and seeing the footage about how great it was. There's some mornings you wake up and you're like, this is going to suck from a comfort standpoint.
Mhm.
Well,
But so now I'm trying to go into this because I know this is going to be one of those where it's
Yeah.
going to hurt. It's going to be cold, but it potentially could be one of the most memorable hunts that we've ever had.
Let me touch on something real quick. So you just said that pintail hunt was very, very gratifying, right?
Mm-hmm.
How many birds did you shoot?
2.
2.
Yep.
I mean, we had some bonus birds in
14?
there.
14? We had 7 or 8 guys?
Yeah,
16?
I think we shot like 16 or 17 birds. So
Right?
we shot a widgeon, a couple
Mhm.
mallards. That Joe shot that mottled duck.
Yeah.
It was super cool.
Yeah.
But I mean, you're talking about the most magnum. I have both of them mounted.
Right?
So do
most
I.
Magnum
So do you.
pintails we've ever shot.
How many birds did we shoot today?
15.
16.
Not gratifying,
Right.
right? So, like,
I think
just
it's,
puts these-
it's expectations going into it, right?
expectations going into it, right?
Because
That's
we said
exactly
if we
what
can
it
go
is.
in there and shoot these pintails, we can shoot our 2 apiece.
And we
can
did.
shoot 14. It's going to be awesome. And they were, I mean, it's pintails.
Well, and we
everyone
just-
loves pintails.
Pintails are
Right.
awesome, and anybody who's hunting sees a pintail, they want to shoot that pintail,
Yeah.
right? But these weren't just your normal pintails.
No.
These are
Booners.
Januaries,
Yes.
magnums with long sprigs that were
Right.
ones that you want to mount.
But today we go in and we say, oh, it's Kansas, right? And we talk
Well,
about this all the time.
Kansas,
The
where
difference
we have
between-
open water on smaller water when nobody else does.
Right.
That's a big deal, right? That's
Well-
a really big deal right now.
Yes.
And we thought that was going to be a big deal with the birds.
We thought we were going
And
to shoot 30 plus birds today.
we
you
just
know?
didn't
It's
have
expectation.
enough water open in the right spot.
So
Is really what it boiled
Mhm.
down to.
I'm going into it glass half full.
I'm going into it glass all the way. Full. We're gonna get
It's
'em.
overflowing.
We're
Well, you
getting
can't,
'em.
right? If you don't have the confidence
That's
going
it.
in, then what are you doing?
That's
you
right.
know, if you don't have confidence of what you've hunted for so long in the past, or what we just saw tonight,
Mhm.
this morning, like that's all you can do. You
Right.
can't do anymore.
Forget about the day before. Forget about the day before
Yep.
that, and move on.
That's
It's
all
in
you
the
can do.
past. I feel like a coach right now.
And I promise, with zero confidence, you don't want to hunt in negative 20-degree wind chill. Like you got to know, like we're gonna go
I'm
in
not
there and beat
going.
them up.
I'm not
Yeah.
going. If I didn't feel confident in tomorrow, I'm not going.
Right.
And frankly,
Sitting at home
there's a
and hoping there's
lot.
ball game on.
Well, that and how many people, and I'm not suggesting that most don't, but I would tend to believe that some, when they see those elements, they're like, nuh-uh, no way.
There's been plenty of times if it's at home, right, and I'm like, oh, I'm gonna go down to my local hole and hunt, and I see -25, like, I'm just gonna roll over in bed.
It's got to be something good, right?
Right.
It's got to be something worthwhile.
And we know it's based on the numbers of birds that are in there using it,
Yeah.
and based on the conditions and all the water that's going to be locking up, and that there's going to be open water there.
Yep.
The recipe for success is there.
I'm just gonna be sitting on that riverbank with that Mr. Buddy just
And I tell you, like you said,
blazing.
we have freaking hot coffee in the truck, and you can go warm up if you need to, and we can bounce back and forth. And
Right.
I'm not worried about it. We're gonna get them, and
That's
it's
it.
gonna be awesome. And we're gonna sit here
If
tomorrow night.
if we
and
don't,
go,
we'll remember it for a
"Holy
long
cow."
time.
Yeah.
Right. Well, and I'm going to remember this morning's hunt just because I don't know that I've ever spent 2 hours.
Breaking ice,
Breaking
and moving
ice and-
rippers, and
Yes.
It was
Wait,
a lot.
dunking my hands, and
a
my,
lot
my
thicker than
gloves
I thought it
freezing
was
to my
gonna be.
fingers. And
Oh, for sure. Yeah, it was
lot
thick.
thicker.
Yeah.
So
Could have used a big rip.
Jeff Hood,
Yeah.
if you could hook us up with one of those, that might have been helpful today. Anyway, I digress.
Five rippers this morning, and I mean, hey,
Hey, but
it did some work.
we tore it apart.
It did
for
some
sure.
work.
I was just going to say, give credit to
Yeah,
Ice
I
Ripper
mean,
because
we tore it
back in the
apart.
day when we were using ice eaters and what you could do with an ice eater in a short amount of time versus what you can do with an Ice Ripper in a short amount of time are drastically different.
Yep.
Gosh, they're just so easy to move around and
Yep.
keep placing and,
Yep.
and
The portability,
chipping away at
and-
what you need to chip away at.
Right.
You know,
Right.
it just dropped off and got too deep. Really, was all it was.
That's it. So that is the plan for tomorrow. Check back and see the footage for that. And then today's experience, make sure you go and watch that video, whether it's, I don't know if it's going to be out now when you see this or if it's going to be later, but make sure you go check that out because there is some really, really good footage from today, regardless of the fact that we only got whatever it was, 15, 16 birds. So it was a good story. A lot of effort, and kudos to everybody on the team and everybody from Tornado Alley who just busted their butt to do everything they possibly could to make this the best hunt we possibly could.
I had a great
We got a
time.
great effort out of Shane today too.
Yeah.
It was good. It was good
Good
to see
to- good-
Shane.
great
Yeah,
to
Really
shout
good
out to
see
Shane.
Brought him out of retirement.
So that's it. That's the plan for tomorrow. So make sure you subscribe to the Heartland Waterfowl YouTube channel. Hit that notifications bell. Don't forget to comment on all of these videos. And then make sure you go to huntingwithhw.com. Fill out your information. We would love for you to win a hunt with us, actually 2 hunts with us in Missouri in February with Valley Oaks. And we'll draw that winner on January 5th, I think, when we're in Texas with Five Land and Holding. So
that's 2 people.
that is 2 people. Yes, you and a friend. And we cover everything. I mean, the only thing that you've got to cover is your hunting license and your travel to get there. We're going to take care of your lodging, your food, and your shotgun shells. So go check that out. Thank you guys for watching. We appreciate it. We got 2 more hunts here left with Tornado Alley pending that we get to hunt the last day. We'll see what the weather conditions are, but that's the plan. And we'll see you, I guess, tomorrow on another edition of Behind the Blind brought to you by Tetra Herring.
Oh man, tomorrow.
I'm going to use my...
I'm excited to see what this
For
weather
the first
does.
time ever, my battery-powered socks, heated socks. That's right.
You're
I'm
giving
gonna,
it the test run tomorrow.
I'm putting them on. That's right.
It's going to be fun to see what happens the next 2 days.
Yeah.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Let's get them.
Doesn't happen but once every 20 years.